Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Roslina Barek and I can explain about extensive reading. Okay, extensive reading part 1, the letter by Shirley Jackson. Number 1, the central theme of the letter is exploration of dangers of blind tradition and the unique station and rest to social rituals even when they lead to violence and injustice. Shirley Jackson critiques the human tendencies to the purposely harmful customs simply because they are ingrained in society without questioning their morality or relevance. Development of the theme through characters and setting. In the one setting, the setting plays a crucial role in Reimers' the theme of tradition and the normalization of violence. Jackson introduced the story with a seemingly ordinary, peaceful small town. The morning of June 27 was clear and sunny, with the French work of a full summer's day. This Indian and triennial imagery contrasts separately with the horrific event that follows, creating a sense of unease. The setting smear half the townspeople have become desensitized to the brutality of the latter. The natural world is its harmony, but the society's ritual is a film anomaly. Next, the characters. Allman Warner, his represents blind adherence to tradition. When questioned about the lottery, he defends the practice saying there's always been a lottery and dismisses any suggestions of change with "don't be a fool." His words reflect a deep-state belief in the necessity of the ritual, no matter how barbaric or outdated it may seem. Daisy Hoods is the story ultimate victim. Initially seems indifferent to the lottery. She is late to arrive and seems unconcerned, even joking with others. However, when she becomes the victim of the lottery, he turns shift dramatically. Her frantic cry, "It isn't fair, isn't right," reflects her sudden awareness of the injustice. But by then, it is too late. The way to townspeople, including family members, quickly participate in the letters reflects their complete absence of the ritual, no matter how cruel even Daisy's own children, who are expected to be incensed, so no remorse as they equally have in the stunning. The part one, number two, the black box. The black box is one of the most powerful symbols in the story. It is represents blind address to tradition, the say, and the resistance to change. This resistance reflects several diverse meaning. One, attachment to tradition, desire of moral values, and fear of change. The letter represents the irrational violence embedded with social symptoms and the danger of conformity. More notably, the letter symbolizes specificating conformity and grouping and violence as tradition. Next, the number three, situational irony. The most striking irony in the story is a situational irony, the outcome in the opposite of what the reader expects. Tune, peaceful beginning versus brutal ending. Beginning tune, light and pleasant, ending tune, tense and violent. Effect of on the reader, shock and horror, self-reflection, and critique of normalists. And number 4 and 5, the number 4, tradition when unities can capture injustice. Conformates often silence individual more judgment. Everyday life can max brightly and correctly. Readers must critically examine the real world customs and norms they accept. And number 5, the townspeople continue the letter because they, they prioritize tradition over morality and they escape to conformity and group pressure. They act from fear of change, exclusion, and misfortune. They difference a responsibility through collective participants. The letter 19 and 48 by Shirley Jackson, a psychology horror short story about a small village. The faithful observes an annual ritual. The village gather for a letter, then turns out to be a human sacrifice to ensure the harvest. This Hutchinson is chosen and stoned to death by the villagers, including her own family. The Lawyers, 1948, by Shirley Jackson, is a psychology horror short story about the small village the faithful observes an annual ritual. So the village gather for a letter that turns out to be a human sacrifice to ensure the harvest. Tessie Hutchison in chosen the stone to death by the first, including her own family, showing the dangers of blind and the praise to outdate tradition. Here are the key points of the synopsis. Eerie atmosphere, the letter ritual, tenses races, climax, and tragic ending. Okay, so continue the extensive reading part 2. The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. Number 1, how first-person narratives source our understanding. Intimate access to heartstrings because the story is written as a personal journal. We are inside the narrator's mind. And sense of isolation and confinement, the narrators is cut off from social interaction and forbidden from doing anything stimulating outside the prescribed school. And fragmented perception and her sanity declines. As the story progresses, her description becomes more aquatic, detailed, and emotional in this mirror her deteriorating mental state. And the narrator is generally considered a narrable, even hallucinations, deteriorating mental clarity, limited perspective. By using a first-person narrator who becomes the increases unravel, Kilps not only portrays a realistic psychology, this line, but also critiques the oppressors' medical and social attitudes towards women at the time. The number 2 in the Yellow Wallpaper by Carrot Perkins Gilman, the wallpaper evolves from a simple decorative nuances into a powerful psychological and symbol force. Its transformation mirrors the narrator's mental deterioration and deepening awareness of her confinement. Initial reaction, disgust and irritation, growing obsession, a pattern of confinement, and final stage, identification and breakdown. Number 3, Control is Mary John, the narrator husband, embodies the participated authority physical of this era, as both her spouse and her physician has speaks for her, makes the decision about her life and dismiss her thoughts and feeling as innate or irrational. This mirrors the body's social expectation. The woman should be confident, passive, and depend on male authority, whether at home or in the public intuitions. Infantilization and dismissal. Decision-making power, marriage, or confinement. Control in medicine. Gilman also critiques contemporary medical practice, especially the so-called risk cure, prescribed for women nervous condition and which is emphasized inactivity, isolation, and avoidance. Medical paternalism, silence and repression, and social expectation in medicine. And number 4, in the yellow wallpaper, colored brightness use the physical setting normally as background, but a symbol extensive of the narrator, physiological deterioration. The nurse bird windows and the wallpaper itself function an outward manifestation and her confinement, repression, and reflected identity. The nurse's infantilization and impressment. The barred windows visible confident and the wallpaper a projection of the mind. Okay, part 2, number 5. In the final scan of the yellow wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman, the narrator fully identifies with the woman she believes is trapped behind the wallpaper. After secretly locking herself in the nature chair, she turns down as much of the wallpaper as she can in order to free the figure within. By this point, the narrator's hallucination has overtaken reality. She no longer distinguishes between herself and the image woman behind the wallpaper. Her obsessed fiction culminates in a complete break from the shared reality. On a literal level, in this physiological collapse, physiological breakdown, symbolic liberation. In the ending is been understood as both breakdown and liberation simultaneously. Her madness represents the tragic cost of repression. She does not gain freedom in a healthy or affirmed way. Instead, her mind victories under sustained control and silence. However, symbological, she has broken free from the physiological prison imposed by her husband and society. Number 6, the yellow wallpaper is a first-person narrative written as a series of journal entries by a woman who is undergoing a rescue prescribed by her physician husband John. The couple has written a scheduled colonial mentions from the summer in hopes that change of the scanner will have her recover from what he calls a temporary nervous depression with a slight hysterical tendency. Because John is both a husband and a doctor, the narrator does not question his authority, even though she disagrees with his treatment and believes she would be helped by mental stimulation or creative activity. They live in a farmer nursery on the top floor with green windows and ugly yellow wallpaper that immediately disturbs her. John refers to move her to a different room or to let her change the wallpaper, telling her she must rest and avoid any mental actions like writing, so she secretly keeps a journey to document her strokes. Our time is late and deprived of meaningful activity or conversation. She becomes increasingly obsessed with the wallpaper strings, creative patterns. At first, she dislikes it, but as her confinement continues, she begins to see a sub-partner and then the figures of a human behind the paper, who she believes is struggling to break free. This synopsis captures both the scanty of events and the central psychological deteriorations of the narrator, which are key to understanding the story's critique of 19th century attitudes towards women mental health. So that's enough and thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.